What if I told you that the world you live in is a direct result of the assumptions you've made? A question that might seem a tad unusual, but one that carries profound implications. Welcome, dear listeners, to the realm of the law of assumption. Imagine, if you will, a serene Zen monastery, nestled amidst the tranquil embrace of lush green hills. Here, wisdom flows like a gentle stream, and time seems to hold its breath, respecting the sacred silence. In this haven of peace resides an old Zen master, a figure of quiet strength and boundless wisdom. His eyes, the color of the evening sky, carry the weight of 1,000 tales, whispered only to the wind. His presence is like a silent symphony, resonating with the harmony of the universe. Accompanying him is his disciple, a young man with a fierce fire in his eyes, a fire fueled by the quest for enlightenment. His heart is a storm of questions, and his spirit, a vessel eager to be filled with the master's wisdom. Yet beneath the fervor lies a layer of confusion, a maze of assumptions about the world and his place in it. The law of assumption, dear listeners, is the principle that our assumptions, our beliefs about the world and ourselves, shape our reality. It is the invisible hand that weaves the tapestry of our experiences, the unseen artist that paints the canvas of our lives. Our assumptions are the silent scriptwriters of our destiny and the directors of our life's movie. In the world of the Zen master and his disciple, this law is about to unfold in the most unexpected of ways. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the monastery's tranquil garden, the stage is set for a timeless parable. A tale that will take us on a journey into the heart of the law of assumption, revealing its wisdom through the trials and tribulations of the young disciple. And so we find ourselves in the tranquil garden of a Zen monastery. The disciple, a young man with an eager mind, was struggling with a problem. His mind was like a storm-tossed sea, turbulent with questions. His problem was as universal as sunrise, yet unique as a fingerprint. He was grappling with the concept of self-worth. He saw himself as a mere pebble among boulders, insignificant and unimportant, a belief that had taken root deep within him. He spent his days comparing himself to others, measuring his worth in relation to theirs. He saw the accomplishments of his peers, their knowledge and wisdom, their skill and grace, and felt dwarfed in comparison. Each comparison chipped away at his self-confidence, leaving him feeling smaller and smaller until he felt utterly insignificant. In his quest for worth, he tried many conventional methods. He worked feverishly to acquire knowledge, hoping that wisdom would make him feel worthy. But no matter how much he learned, it never seemed enough. He tried to gain recognition through achievements, hoping that accolades might fill the void within him. Yet each accomplishment felt hollow and fleeting. He even attempted to imitate others, adopting their mannerisms and habits, hoping to borrow some of their worth. But this only made him feel like a stranger to himself. His efforts were like trying to fill a sieve with water. The more he poured in, the more it drained away. The more he tried to prove his worth, the less worthy he felt. His struggle was like a vicious cycle, a never-ending loop of effort and disappointment. The disciple's heart was heavy with frustration and despair. His attempts to find worth had only led to a deepening sense of emptiness. He felt lost in a labyrinth of self-doubt, without a clue as to how to find his way out. In his desperation, the disciple turned to the Zen master for guidance. His heart filled with hope as he approached the wise old man. He knew that if anyone could help him navigate the storm within him, it was the Zen master. Little did he know, the answer he sought was closer than he imagined. The Zen master, a man of great wisdom, listened to the disciple's problem and began to tell a story. He began, "Once upon a time, in a far-off kingdom lived a humble potter. This potter was known far and wide for the beautiful vases he crafted, each one a masterpiece in its own right. However, he was not content. He wished to create a vase so exquisite, so perfect, that it would be remembered for all eternity." The Zen master continued, "One day, the potter received a lump of clay so pure, so pristine, that he knew it was destined to become his masterpiece. He began to mold the clay, assuming every day that the vase would turn out to be the most beautiful one he had ever created. His hands moved with precision, his heart full of anticipation. But as fate would have it, the vase cracked in the kiln. The potter was devastated. He had believed so strongly in the perfection of the vase, yet it had shattered. But instead of giving up, he gathered the broken pieces, remembering his assumption of creating the perfect vase. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The potter toiled day and night, not once allowing the failure to deter him. He assumed that each attempt brought him closer to his masterpiece, even if the result was another broken vase. Then one day, he took a different approach. Instead of trying to recreate the perfect vase, he took the fragments of the shattered vases and began to assemble them piece by piece. He filled the cracks with gold, creating an entirely new design. The result was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It was more beautiful, more unique than what he had initially envisioned. The potter had assumed he would create the perfect vase, and in his own way, he did, not by crafting a flawless piece, but by embracing the imperfections, by transforming the broken into the beautiful. He had assumed his success, and despite the trials, he achieved it. The Zen master paused, allowing the tale to sink in. Then he said, "The potter's story is a reflection of life. We may assume our path, believe in our success, but the journey may not be as we envision. Yet if we hold on to our belief, our assumption, and adapt to the challenges, we can create our own version of perfection." He added, "Remember, the law of assumption isn't about predicting the exact outcome. It's about holding a firm belief in your success, no matter the trials and tribulations. It's about transforming the broken into the beautiful, the trials into triumphs." With that, the Zen master ended his story and left the disciple to ponder. Confused yet intrigued, the disciple pondered the Zen master's story. His mind was a whirlpool of thoughts, spinning with the weight of the parable he had just heard. Each word resonated within him, echoing in the halls of his consciousness. He felt a pull, a curiosity that he couldn't ignore. But the more he delved into the story's meaning, the more elusive it became. He started with literal interpretations, trying to decode the Zen master's message like a complex puzzle. He dissected each word, each phrase, each sentence, hoping to find the hidden wisdom. But no matter how he arranged the pieces, the puzzle remained unsolved. Frustrated, he moved to metaphorical interpretations. He tried to connect the story to his own experiences, drawing parallels between the characters in the parable and the people in his life. He reflected on his past actions, his present dilemmas, his future aspirations. But every connection he made seemed forced, every parallel seemed contrived. The disciple was on a quest for understanding, but each step forward seemed to push the truth further away. His mind became a battlefield, torn between the desire to understand and the fear of failure. Each failed interpretation was a blow to his confidence. Each unsuccessful attempt was a dent in his determination. His struggle was not just a pursuit of wisdom. It was a test of his tenacity, a measure of his resilience. He was grappling with his own limitations, wrestling with his own insecurities. The Zen master's story was a mirror, reflecting the disciple's inner struggles. He began to question himself, to doubt his abilities. He wondered if he was worthy of the Zen master's teachings, if he was capable of understanding the profound wisdom. The fear of failure loomed over him, casting a shadow on his pursuit of knowledge. But amidst the storm of confusion, a small spark of determination flickered in the disciple's heart. He remembered the Zen master's words, his calm demeanor, his unwavering faith. The disciple realized that the struggle was part of the journey, that the confusion was a stepping stone towards clarity. He decided to persevere, to keep trying despite the hurdles. He decided to embrace the struggle, to accept the uncertainty. He knew that the path to wisdom was not linear, that the journey to understanding was filled with twists and turns. The disciple's struggle was a testament to his commitment, a reflection of his dedication. He was not just seeking an answer, he was striving for enlightenment. He was not just trying to solve a riddle, he was yearning for transformation. And so he continued to ponder, to question, to explore. He continued to struggle, to stumble, to rise again. His spirit remained unbroken, his resolve remained unshaken. He was a disciple in pursuit of wisdom, a seeker in search of truth. In his frustration, the disciple almost gave up, but he didn't. He chose to persist, to endure, to persevere. For he knew that the struggle was part of the journey, that the journey was the destination. But then, something extraordinary happened. Without warning, like a thunderbolt from a clear sky, the disciple's mind was illuminated with an understanding that was as sudden as it was profound. The Zen master's parable, once a nebulous puzzle, now seemed crystal clear. He finally saw the connection. He saw the mirror reflecting his own predicament in the story of the Zen master. The law of assumption, a concept that had seemed so abstract, so elusive, now lay bare in front of him. He realized that he had been the architect of his own problems. He had been a prisoner of his own assumptions that had dictated his thought patterns, actions, and ultimately, his reality. He had been like a man who walks into a dark room, assuming there to be an obstacle, and thus stumbling over his own feet. What the Zen master had subtly conveyed was that the universe was a blank canvas, and he was the artist. The colors he chose, the strokes he made, were all determined by his assumptions. If he assumed he was incapable, then his actions would reflect that, and he would fail. But if he assumed he was capable, then his actions would echo that belief, and success would be inevitable. Just as the sunflower turns towards the light, the disciple realized he too had the ability to turn towards his own light, his own truth. He had the power to paint his own reality, not with the colors of fear and doubt, but with the vibrant hues of belief and confidence. And so, as the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple, the disciple sat in silence, his mind still buzzing with the newfound understanding. The realization was not just intellectual, but deeply emotional. He felt a sense of liberation, as if chains he didn't even know he was wearing had been broken. He understood now that his problem was not insurmountable, as he had previously assumed. His struggle was not a reflection of his inherent inability, but rather a reflection of his negative assumptions. The solution to his problem lay not in external circumstances, but within himself. He had to change his assumptions, change the narrative he had been telling himself. With this newfound understanding, he felt a surge of energy, an unshakable determination. He felt as if he had been given a new lease on life. He knew he had the power to change his situation, to mold it according to his desires. All he needed to do was change his assumptions, to believe in his capability, to believe in his potential. And so, with a sense of purpose and clarity he had never felt before, the disciple returned to his problem. But this time, he approached it with a different mindset, a different set of assumptions. He no longer saw it as a hurdle, but as an opportunity to prove his newfound understanding. With newfound clarity, the disciple finally solved his problem. In the end, the disciple learned an invaluable lesson. Just like the sun that rises and sets each day, life's journey is filled with predictable patterns, but also unexpected turns. The disciple discovered that the law of assumption was one such unexpected turn, a twist in the road that forever altered his perspective. He learned that our reality is shaped not only by our actions, but also by our assumptions. We create our world by the assumptions we make, the beliefs we hold, just like the Zen master had shown him. He saw how his assumption of the impossibility of climbing the mountain had initially held him back. Yet when he changed his assumption, when he believed he could reach the peak, his reality transformed. The disciple understood that the law of assumption is an invisible but powerful force like the wind. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And most importantly, you can see its effects. It's the force that shapes our lives, our destinies, and our world. He realized that the law of assumption is not merely a philosophical concept or a spiritual belief, it's an everyday practical tool, a compass guiding us through the labyrinth of life. When we assume the best, we're more likely to experience the best. When we assume defeat, we're more likely to meet defeat. The law of assumption, he understood, is like a mirror reflecting our deepest beliefs back at us. It's a reminder that we're not passive spectators in the theater of life. We're active participants, directors of our own stories, sculptors of our own destinies. The disciple learned that the law of assumption is a key that can unlock the door to a more fulfilling existence. It's a tool that empowers us, a beacon that guides us, and a compass that leads us to our true north. And so the disciple's life was forever changed by the law of assumption.